Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of the tutorial where we're going to design the website. Yeah, so basically I'm going to show all of the steps on like how you will make a website. And so if you haven't watched the previous one, I suggest you do. But if you watch this, we're going to go start. And like by this time I have basically like retaken this video like 10 times already because I'm not too sure how to explain it, because like design isn't like coding where you just have a way to do it. It's more like art, so I'm not that great at it and not great at explaining. But basically this is what I designed in Figma, and Figma is a software for a free software actually for like just designing. This isn't how you actually make a website, it's just for like it's just pretty good for design. So why is design important? Because people will think this website looks better than this one. Okay, so of course I'm exaggerating slightly, but this is also what my first website looks like. But in this video, I guess what I can do is just show you a bit of some tips for like, I don't know, making it look better, I guess. Number one, I would say don't use a background image. For my first website and also for a lot of people's websites, they seem to like image of some like landscape or some plant, I guess, because sometimes like their websites our websites like the ones I made first are pretty simple, and it just seemed off to not have a bunch of colors. So some people will want to make something like this and add an image here, and well, like that kind of looks good in some circumstances, but most of the time I would say just don't and just use like a plain background. The second thing is to choose a good font. You know, I chose a serif font because I felt like it's pretty fitting for ingredients and like recipes website. If you're making a portfolio or I don't know, a profile or a product, I would say maybe make it a bit more modern and use something like sans serif. So, but here I just kept it like this. And yeah, that's number two. Choose a good font. Number three, don't use too many colors. You know, the most colors I have is mainly just black and gray, and the images, and just like one color that's green. You can also maybe have like two different colors, maybe like a green and blue or a red, but just use them in like correct places and don't use too much. For example, here like there's a bunch of colors. There's like a blue thing on the back, like on the header, and there's this like green and there's another green, and like a bunch of different colors, and that would make it look bad. So I would just say try to reduce the amount of colors as possible, but you know, make it good looking. And the third thing, or is it now the fourth thing, but to use some border radius and not use too much. So for example, in here, like the images and like sidebars and buttons are rounded, whereas like here it's not, and it just like looks a bit too like jagged, and yeah, it just doesn't look good. But also what I'm seeing is like a lot of people, I feel like, use too much. So if you were to make it, you know, if you were to make it like this, that just feels like a bit too much, and sometimes let's say like that wastes a lot of space. So just keep it somewhere like pretty small, but you can still see the rounded corners. So that's like the fourth thing or fifth thing. And then the next thing would be to make the text like headers, make headers larger and like different sections, right? The smallest text should be, you know, thinner and maybe a different font and smaller and lighter in color. Titles and headings should be more bold and, you know, larger. So that would just like make it read more easily. And also space out your font a bit more. So for example, letter spacing, you don't need to space that way, but I would say this way is definitely better. Like if you just have text that's too close together, it seems kind of hard to read. Sometimes if your text just seems off, just increase the spacing a tiny bit and that will just look better. So basically that's all I'm going to say for this video. It's pretty short because I'm not the person that's the best at designing, so I would say just try to make something that looks good first, and also yeah, make a design before you start coding, kind of like what we did. Like if you don't want to download this software, you can use like any other software or Google Slides even, or just draw on a piece of paper, but find a basic layout before and plan stuff out before you start coding. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe if you want to see like the actual coding part, which I will definitely do next video. Alright, thank you.